One sign you're becoming a master creator is when you are aware of the times when you become unconscious of what you are creating. So like when you have drifting beliefs, doubts, any type of limiting belief that comes into your mind and you catch it and you're like, that's not my thought, you are leveling up. Because you know that all of your thoughts and beliefs are actively creating your entire reality. So when you catch those moments of falling unconscious, you're onto something.
If you're empathetic or you're emotionally or energetically sensitive, also commonly known as empath, and we can all agree that when we feel something, we feel it deeply. And with that level of sensitivity without the proper boundaries and just like self-awareness, 9 times out of 10, you've probably been absorbing energy that was never yours to carry in the first place. Now let's talk about the art of learning how to observe without absorbing, and truly learning how to protect your peace without having to disconnect from the world. In other words, it speaks directly to boundaries, self-protection, and just having emotional intelligence, especially in today's emotionally overwhelming world. Because y'all, let's be honest, every day is something. It's just like, can we get a break? Because we're tired. You get what I'm saying? But hopefully by the end of this video, you will gain a little more understanding on how to not really feel that. Because I feel like when you get to a space of grounding yourself, you don't really seem to be as bothered with things that are going on outside of yourself, because you create like a safe space within yourself to know that, all right, I got me and I'm able to keep myself balanced enough to not be like shaken. It's about being grounded in your energy enough to know when you're being affected by outside energies and how to rebalance yourself from that. So to begin, let's discuss the difference between observing and absorbing. Observing is the awareness of energy, emotion, behavior, and your environment, while absorbing it is taking it on as your own and internalizing what's not yours. And the reality is, oftentimes when we are observing, a lot of people are not as conscious in the moment. We're not consciously observing the energies and emotions outside of ourselves, which usually results in us embodying those energies, which would then be referred to as observing and absorbing. And this shows up in our daily lives, like through social media, relationships, conflict, or even just public spaces. So you gain the awareness of something, whether it's through your discernment or whether it's through just like tangible knowing. But then instead of just acknowledging it or letting whatever feelings pass by, you end up internalizing the feeling as if it is your own personal experience. So some examples of that could be like, say if somebody tells you a sad story, not only do you empathize with them, but you also then embody sadness as if you were the one experiencing the exact situation. Or let's say you hear about a friend's bad breakup and now you're heated as if you were the one that got cheated on, or whatever the case might be. Or let's say being around toxic people, aka energy vampires, whether it's in person or on social media. With all that negative and chaotic energy that they tend to project, you will now start to feel like you're depleted and drained of your energy. Or for a positive example, say like if you're around happy, ambitious, goal-driven people, that good energy could rub off on you and now make you feel inspired and motivated to get things done that you feel inspired by, which by the way is the good kind of energy transfer. So in that case, that would be ideal for you to consciously observe and absorb. So to be honest, there are pros and cons to this. It's just all about being conscious enough to know what you're taking on and what you shouldn't take on. And depending on how much self-awareness you have will determine the toll of emotional absorption. And this can show up in like various different ways, like feeling burnt out or feeling like you're losing a sense of self, or feeling overwhelmed or overreactive just in your emotions, or even just carrying guilt, shame, and stress that does not belong to you. And for this to stop happening, you have to come to the understanding that you can be an empathetic person without being an emotional sponge. So you can read a room and interact with people while still maintaining a healthy level of emotional boundaries. Here are some other great takes on the importance of observing without absorbing. So let's roll the clips.
You have to observe and not absorb. What I mean by that, once you become conscious of people energy and seeing how negative people are, and you start to see how weird people moving, how uncomfortable you make people, you can't absorb it. Because once you start getting wrapped up in how they reacting and you start to focus on every little movement that's going on, it's going to begin to lower your vibration. It's going to begin to lower your frequency. So I tell y'all, observe, but don't absorb. You see it, you peep it, and anything you see, take a mental note, and you go right back into your own world and keep it pushing and do whatever it is that you was doing. But you can't be absorbed by everything that's going on around you and focusing on what they got going on, because all it's gonna do is piss you off, frustrate you, aggravating you. And now you focusing on everybody else's energy rather than the energy that really matters, and that's your own. Get what I'm saying? I had to go through that. I went through the process, because once I got my gift, it was like night and day. The very next day I walked into the gym, I believe, and I'm just looking, I'm like, man, why is it that I'm seeing this? Why is it that I'm seeing that? Why is it that I'm seeing this? Why is it this person doing this? You know what I'm saying? And then once I understood what it was that I was unlocking my gift, you get what I'm saying? Then I'm like, man, so this is that. So then it began to piss me off. So I walk in there and I'd be like, okay, this person acting like this because of this. This person doing this because of this. And I started to notice. I started to walk in with a mug on my face. And I had to take a step back. I'm like, hold on. I'm on a whole different frequency, so I can't be letting people who on a low vibrational wave bring me down. So then I learned, you know what, observe. That's all I do, I observe, keep it pushing, go back into my own world, because whatever it is they dealing with, they got to worry about that. So you don't let it get down, you don't let it get you down. You get what I'm saying? Especially when somebody bring that energy towards you. But you can't even let your surroundings agitate you. Because sometimes people ain't gonna walk up to you. Sometimes people ain't gonna talk to you. But you'll see somebody on some other stuff from afar and you just be like, man, what they got going on? Don't even worry about it. You see that? Noted. Interesting. You keep it pushing. This is how you protect your energy. So remember, observe but do not absorb unless it's good energy. Blessings to y'all.
If you are on the awakened path or the ascension journey, there are a lot of things happening right now in our world that command or demand your energy. There are a lot of things happening that are outside of our control, things that are just screaming for your attention. It is important, though, however, to just observe, to not absorb, to simply just observe the world around you for what it is. Hold a space in your heart for those people who are suffering and who are struggling right now, but do your best not to absorb the energy. This could mean limiting your time on social media, limiting your access to information that otherwise is screaming for your attention, to hold the light within, to honor the things that you already know, to honor who you are and why you're here. Remember that change happens from within, not outside of us. And we know that all those things that are outside of us that are building corruption must come down. The world that we live in is changing, and it's changing rapidly. The energy on the planet is shifting. It's creating a higher frequency, a higher vibration. And as an awakened person, it is our job to hold the light, to raise your own frequency and to hold that energy within you. It affects everyone around you. We are setting the grid work for a new world.
Learning to observe rather than absorb is one of the greatest spiritual practices that one can do. Observing and not absorbing truly brings peace and calmness. Learning to detach and learning to become the witness behind the thoughts. Experiencing life from pure awareness. Because oftentimes, 9 out of 10, the struggle comes from your thoughts. It's never really the situation or what's happening in reality. It's just your thoughts about the whole thing. Reality is simple. It's the mind that tends to complicate a lot. So a lot of times what happens is we have constant thoughts all day, right? Instead of allowing these thoughts to come and go and flow, rise and fall, we give attention to some of the thoughts that we don't like. We bring energy and focus onto it. Just say we have good thought, and here comes a bad thought. And then we focus on that bad thought, and from that one bad thought, it branches to other thoughts of that similar energy. So you're in a whole loop of negativity or a whole loop of bad thoughts. When the solution was to allow these thoughts to come and go just like all the others. Just to allow them to pass. Allow them to rise and fall. Be the witness. Become the witness.
I don't know who needs to hear this message, but it is time for us to practice the art of observing and not absorbing. Okay? Yeah, I said it. It is okay to observe things going on around you without absorbing that same energy. Control exactly what you can control, friend, and that's it. That's all. That's all we have the energy for. controlling what directly impacts us. That's it. Okay? Like, yeah, focus on yourself. Put yourself on a pedestal. Leave the unnecessary baggage right where it's at. We're not picking up anything that's heavy this season. This season is all about protecting our energy, observing but not absorbing, and controlling what we can control. That's it. That's it. That's the only way. It's the only way, friend. It's an art. So let's practice it. Yeah, let's master that. Okay? I love you.
What's up, family? So let's talk about this term to observe and not to absorb. People often use this phrase, let's observe, not absorb, but they don't talk about how to do it. So then we get in a situation with someone who completely gets on our nerves, and all we're doing is observing how they're got on our nerves, which in effect means we're absorbing it. So let's talk about what you really need to do. When that person begins to behave the way that they do, here are 3 tips that can help you. Number 1, say, you know what? This is the way they're living their life, and I'm going to let them off the hook and let them do it. Number 2, you can send love to them while they're in the midst of whatever's going on. That isn't actively sending love, like I send you love. This is emanating positive energy to them and observing what they're going through, knowing that's part of their journey. And number 3 is that you can completely tune it out and focus on something else that brings you joy. You can be locked in, you can pretend to be paying attention, but you're thinking about something that brings you happiness. It's important in this season of growth and elevation to be observing and not absorbing, which means sometimes in order to not absorb somebody else's mess, you've got to absorb something else, right? So don't be afraid to internally deflect and focus on a thing that makes you feel good. Because at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is that you feel good. That's what matters. Don't let them lie to you.
And y'all, before understanding this concept, things were always so heavy for me and I could not understand why. I was always the strong, empathetic go-to friend for people to confide in and just to seek advice from. And growing up, I was always in my own little world, just unintentionally reading the room. And this is something that I talked about in my previous video about the gift of discernment. And before I had the self-awareness, I was always around groups of people, whether it was family, friends, school, after-school program. And being in these active spaces, you tend to pick up on a lot of things, which easily causes you to get like overwhelmed. But because I wasn't conscious of me like taking on all these energies, I was always feeling anxious and I just could not understand why. And I remember always saying I hated when I could sense a person feeling uncomfortable, because then it made me feel uncomfortable, because it's like, why are you uncomfortable? You get what I'm saying? Which is another perfect example of observing and then absorbing, because it's like, why do I have to feel uncomfortable because you feel uncomfortable? Like, you could feel uncomfortable for whatever reasons you feel uncomfortable, but I don't have to take on that energy. But back then I always did, because it's like, damn, I felt like I need to like help them or something, because it's like, why are you uncomfortable? Because now it's making me uncomfortable. Or another example is like when I was working in McDonald's and Starbucks, I could be having the best day. Like when I say the best day, the shift could be going great. It's a calm day. The customers is being all cool. But it's that one customer that comes in and they just give you like just a bad vibe. That would literally, after that one interaction, make me go from happy and saying, oh, the shift is going so great, to now I don't want to be bothered by anybody. I just want to go home. Because it's just like, why did you have to come with that energy? Like, I didn't ask for that. You didn't have to give it. But now I feel some type of way. Until after a while of being grumpy or just being standoffish or just not wanting to be there, I had to really think to myself, like, it's unfair to me that I just allowed that person to throw me off. But another major realization was like, damn, I just gave that person mad power over me, because why did I just let you ruin my day because your day wasn't going good? I shouldn't even give you that much power. So I will be asking myself questions like, damn, like, how could your day be going so great and then a few seconds later now you would label it as it's not going great when you just had a great run? And then now I'm not really wanting to interact and smile with the few customers after that. But then it's just like, it's not fair to them because they didn't do anything to me. So I really had to like check myself, like, okay, they didn't do anything to you. There was that one person. You're not gonna let one apple spoil you the whole entire bunch, because then how I show up would then reflect in the other experiences that the other customers are gonna have. And it's just like, I want y'all to have a good day. You get what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to be the person to cause you to feel like icky because somebody else made me feel that way. So I really had to check myself. I had to be conscious enough to choose happiness because that's what I wanted. And working in customer service, I just had to learn how to put up those emotional blockers because, like I said, when you start to realize that misery loves company, it's just like, why am I going to allow you to affect me in a negative way and even give you that satisfaction? Or even if it's not even something that you acknowledge as the person outside of myself coming with the toxicity, but it's just me acknowledging with myself, like, I'm not giving you that power. I choose to be happy and you're not going to affect it, period. And also, as the go-to strong friend, I had to be real with myself that a person constantly choosing chaos does not require for me to be their emotional therapist, which can be hard, especially if you want to be a good friend and you want to show up for them. But I had to guard my feelings from those conversations. I hear them, I empathize with them, but I did not internalize their pain anymore. This was something that I was able to practice in my 5 years of being a lash tech. So there's this thing in the beauty industry where clients tend to view their appointments as free therapy sessions. And don't get me wrong, girls like to gossip and things like that, but like there gets a point where it can get overwhelming, especially like I said, if you're a person that people tend to like feel like they can open up to. It's just like, y'all, when I say they be opening up, they be opening up. And to be honest, in my first 2 years, I silently struggled because of my empathy. And when you have 4 clients a day and then you also have toxic coworkers that you got to deal with, I would literally be drained by the end of the day. And when I say drained, I mean drained. To be honest, I barely remember myself during those years because I was so involved in other people's lives that I didn't really have like time for myself. A day would commonly look like waking up at 7, getting to work by 9, having my first client at 9, then I'm there all the way cleaning up till 7, getting home by like 8 o'clock just to get ready, shower, eat, and then go to sleep and do it all over again. And I would have like 1 or 2 rest days. And even then, it wasn't really a rest day because, you know, you got responsibilities, which one of those days would be like house maintenance and then the other day would be like my self maintenance. But it was also time that I had to stretch for friends and family. And it was just like really overwhelming. So it was basically like I was just existing and moving in life without consciously participating in life based off of knowing my own wants and needs. But y'all, after 2 to 3 years, and I know that's a long time, I knew something had to change because I'm like, if I continue down this path, it was miserable. So I knew that I had to make more time for myself. And to be completely honest, that looked like blocking people out. And that was really because of my lack of previous boundaries. So it's like the way that people interacted with me was very like consuming. So I felt like the only way I could protect myself and my peace was to literally just be unavailable to people. But then I realized that balance was necessary because I couldn't just hide from the world and just let life pass me by, especially when you realize like, damn, I'm just working, and there's no other parts of my life that I'm pouring into. It can kind of feel like really, not kind of, like it feels really repetitive, but like not in a good way. So I just use it as an opportunity to really learn more and practice self-awareness while utilizing boundaries. And of course, that was also, I feel like, with the help of therapy, even though I always felt like I was like my own therapist. And when I did go to therapy, my therapist was just listening to me. But that's a whole nother story. I actually want to do a video on like therapists, but we'll get into that in another video. Let's stay on topic. And of course, it required me to really sit down with myself and be real with myself about what I wasn't happy with and what I wanted. And that ultimately led me to leaving the beauty industry because I just feel like, for one, it just wasn't aligned for me and it wasn't purposeful. But also, I'm like, damn, like even if you did try to set like a silent boundary, especially with me, I did lashes, so it wasn't really like ideal for me and the client to talk during the service, like maybe during prep time or even after. But during the 2 to 3 hour service, talking just wasn't like beneficial because I feel like it would slow me down. The clients would move. But it's like I've had clients not complain, but it's like they would make comments where it's just like, oh, so we're not gonna talk. And I'm like, it kind of made me feel like, damn, like I don't know what to say, because I mean, of course, like I give them the reasoning of, hey, you know, like I don't want you to move, and you know, like this is like a more quiet type of service compared to getting your hair done or your nails done. But some people, because they're so accustomed to, say, like other lash techs being like, oh girl, like give me the tea, let's gossip. Some people, again, when I talked about introverts and extroverts, some people feed off of other people's energies. But it's like, for me as an introvert, it was just difficult to have 4 clients back to back, and each of them are venting to you about something, and it's just like I'm taking all of this in without me having my own set of boundaries with myself. And then it's like, of course, if you start telling me something every appointment that you come to, you're gonna want to update me, and I'm not gonna like just like brush you off and say like, hey, I don't want to listen, because that's just not me. But it's just like, y'all, even when you try to set boundaries, people, they don't like it. Like, they don't take it personal, but it's just like, you might not see that client again because they want to go to somebody where they can have those free therapy sessions. And I'm like, y'all, when I was in therapy, the price had went up to like $205 each session. I'm like, for what I'm charging y'all, I already feel like I'm undervaluing myself, and then you want a free therapy session on top of that? Listen, if you want my help and y'all gonna drain my energy, I need to benefit off of it somehow. You get what I'm saying? That's why I really love YouTube, because I feel like I can still be myself and be of a help, but it's not like a lot of energy exchange going on. I can still be me and help and pour into people without depleting myself, versus when I was in the industry, I'm having like direct contact with people, and it was just a lot. Honestly, it was a lot. And sometimes, no matter how much you block out the chaos, when it's time for you to leave an environment, no matter how much you try to like just observe without absorbing it, if you constantly have something that's like draining you, stressing you out, it's just not worth the sacrifice of staying there. Once you realize your time is up somewhere, just let it go gracefully and allow God to do other things in your life, because things are always gonna happen. You have to know when to leave something, someone, someplace, for the sake of your own peace. And some things that I did to help myself was pausing before internalizing things. So I had to ask myself, like, of course you could do this mentally, but I had to ask myself, is this my energy or is this someone else's energy? Is this mine to carry? And again, that comes with being self-aware, because if you don't know yourself enough to know what energy you're operating in, it's hard for you to then decipher what is manipulating your energy. So then you could really realize like, okay, is this mine or is this not mine? And that took for me to be in an isolation period, because I had to spend time with myself to really analyze myself. And of course, not in like a picky way type of thing, right? But it's just the same way I analyze things outside of myself. I had to be consciously aware of the things that I was doing, really understanding why I was doing the things that I was doing, and then deciding from there, like, all right, if I'm moving intentionally, is this worth doing? Is this not worth doing? It's like getting to know yourself. Like, I would go on solo dates, and I still do that, right? Like, it's a lot of things that I feel like we tend to look outside of ourselves for things, but it's just like, do you spend enough time with yourself truly, without distraction, to really get to learn yourself and your patterns and why you are the way you are? And with understanding all of that, ultimately, like, it helps you kind of get grounded in who you are. You build your own sense of identity without like all the outside noise of people trying to tell you who you are or what you should be, what you shouldn't be. It's just you and you, right? And when you then learn you like you would in a relationship with another person, you're learning them. Think of building a relationship with yourself and then being just you and you, learning yourself, building a relationship with yourself. And that at the end of the day will help you really have an understanding of what's your energy and what's not your energy. So that way, when you add another person into the equation, you then can have a sense of understanding of how they affected your base level of understanding of who you are. Then another thing that I did was grounding techniques like breath work, yoga, or even just meditating, journaling. And all those things are so great because it helps you slow down and be present in the moment. So say for example with breath work, with me consciously thinking about like breathing and things like that, I realized that there will be points in times where I was shallow breathing, like not really a full inhale, exhale, which can create tension within your body. And when you have tension in your body, that can affect you in ways where you're not all the way like just calm. Like it can create sometimes moments of being anxious or feeling, I don't know, like not grounded. But breath work really helps because it really brings you back to your body and you really analyze the sensations and just everything that you're feeling. And again, like it slows you down, it calms you down, it allows you to really feel and just be present in the moment. And then when it comes to yoga, same thing, but yoga, I feel like it's just, I don't know, it's just nice on the body. Like every time I do yoga, I just feel so good. Like I feel really, again, grounded. I feel like stretched and, you know, like just, it feels great. So yoga is another thing. I know some people like to work out, but I don't like high intensity working out because I feel like even though like when you're doing, I know I'm rambling right now, but just listen. Even when you're doing like the whole mind to muscle connection, I feel like yes, it does require a level of presence because you have to really know what's being engaged in the moment. Yoga is very low intensity. Of course, whatever movement you're doing, again, it all comes down to being present. And then when we think about like journaling, I feel like that, oh my gosh, like I want to do a whole video on journaling because oftentimes you hear people say like, oh, journal, 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 and you're like, okay, okay, okay. But y'all, when I say like, when I took journaling serious, I don't think I would ever stop because anxiety comes from not feeling like certain. It comes from feeling like shaky. When you empty your mind out, as in acknowledge the thoughts, throw away what doesn't need to be acknowledged, and really expand upon what is, you know, like really taking up mental space, you're clearing out the drafts, which then you feel like you're solving whatever problems you may have, or just even you're executing thoughts and plans that you may have. So that just all makes you feel like, okay, you're getting something done, or you're getting things out of the way, you're clearing out the dust, you know? So journaling has been such a great thing. But also, as an empathetic person, you tend to extend a listening ear to other people, but do you extend that listening ear to yourself? So I feel like journaling, like, yeah, you can talk out loud because I like to do that sometimes, but I love journaling because you can always go back and reflect on where you were and really just, when you see growth, like it inspires you to keep going. So I feel like with journaling, like it helps to really capture what's in the mind so that way you can work through it. And yeah, again, it helps you just decipher what's yours and what's not yours. And then another thing that I did, where some people might think this is kind of like delusional, but visualize energetic boundaries around yourself. And this can look like just like meditating, but thinking about like a bubble forming around you as your energetic field. And when things are coming at you or different energies, think about it not penetrating that bubble and you're protected. I feel like that's just like a mental thing, but again, people have to understand that the mind is such a powerful thing. What you believe has the power to shift how you move. So if you visualize a bubble around yourself and in your mind you say like, okay, nobody can penetrate that bubble, you're consciously like making sure nothing penetrates that bubble because you believe that you have a bubble of protection around you. It's, listen, sometimes when you're delusional, if you're going to be delusional, use it to your benefit because your mind can be tricked. But if you're going to trick your mind in a way that's going to benefit you. That's all I'm saying. And then another thing I did was detach with love. And we talking about self-love. I chose to preserve myself without making empathy my identity. And at first, this can be hard as an empathetic person because you tend to realize how just emotionally detached and emotionally starved society is, and you want to be that person to help out and fill in those gaps that you see within people. The reality is you can't sacrifice yourself. You can't always be the person to want to be there to fix someone or help them with their problems. And you know, like, what about you? One thing I've learned is if you don't have boundaries with yourself, people will shamelessly bleed you dry. Like, they are thinking about themselves, so you need to also be thinking about yourself, but not from a selfish place, but from a place of self-love. Like, you're still caring of other people, but at the end of the day, it's still like, all right, I have to make sure my cup is good before I pour into your cup. If my cup is empty and you come into me for me to pour into your cup, I don't have nothing to give you. And if I am trying to give you something, it's not gonna be beneficial to me, because I'm only depleting myself more than what I can even offer in the moment. But it takes for you to be comfortable with being the bad guy. Not the bad guy, but more so just learning that your value isn't tied to what you can do for people or how you can help people. You are valuable just as is, but you know, like, you gotta know that you're valuable. You gotta treat yourself like, okay, I gotta take care of myself too. Like, just as much as I want to help other people, I gotta help myself as well. But it will never be to my detriment, because then I can't show up for me. And if I can't show up for me, I can't be here. And then lastly is utilizing my discernment. And I had to learn the difference between compassion and codependency. Compassion allows you to feel and connect with people, while codependency is almost like your need for something. So like I said, in this example, it could be like needing to feel valuable for being something for someone else. Really understanding that my value isn't tied to how much I can extend myself to people, even though that's what a lot of people are programmed to believe. But instead, it was understanding that being supportive was also good enough without trying to fix everyone and everything. Let people learn to take that responsibility on for themselves. But again, you can be of a support where you can be a support. So overall, your ability to feel is powerful, but your power also lies in what you choose to hold. Protect your peace like it's sacred, because it is, okay? Y'all, peace is hard to get out here, so when you get it, don't fumble it. So please learn to witness the world, but don't become it. But anyways, to wrap up this video, I hope y'all enjoyed it, and I hope y'all learned something new, even if it's something little that you could just utilize in your everyday. Listen, 1% is better than no percent. So anyways, I thank y'all for watching this video, and I hope to see y'all in my next one, because we have some great content rolling out. I'm just trying to pace myself. And yeah, thank you for watching this video. Bye. And y'all, I'm so proud of myself, because I got invited to an event and I stepped out of my comfort zone and I went by myself, even though I'm always out by myself. But like, to go to an actual event, even though I was meeting up with a person, and I made a new friend today, even though this is somebody that I knew, but like, it feels like it's an intentionally aligned relationship. And I love that, because we are so alike. It's like, of course, like, everyone has their own journey, but just to know that, like, okay, I'm coming into alignment with the people that are meant to be in alignment with me. I love that, okay? And I'm including this in this video because, of course, while I was there, I had to utilize what I was just talking about in this video, observing without absorbing. So I was there in my own little bubble, of course, but interacting with people, but I didn't really internalize anything. Honestly, even if I noticed things, it was kind of just like it went in my mind and just came out, you know? So I didn't really like think about it too long, versus I feel like me before, I would think about things and ruminating on it. But I didn't do that this time. I went, I enjoyed myself, I made some new connections, and yeah, like, it was just really great. And another reason why I'm putting this in this video is because I do talk about like friendship topics and, you know, like fake friends and all of that, but I stepped out of my comfort zone and I felt like someone was worth me doing that. And I'm happy that I went, because like I said, I feel like she's a person that I could see myself actually building a friendship with. And I love that, because it's like, you go girl, you go girl. But anyways, y'all, like I said, just because you go through things doesn't mean that you have to like close yourself off, because I promise you, in the right times, God is always going to align the people that you are aligned with, that is meant to be in your life, that is valuable and will pour into your life, and you pour back into them. Those connections will always come at the right time. Of course, you gotta like put yourself out there, but you don't have to like force it. You don't have to go like searching for it desperately. Like, me and this girl knew each other like from like friends of friends, but this is our first time. Like, she just hit me up like, hey, you know, like she would love to see me, And I thought to myself, like, okay, if this was the person that I was getting like weird vibes from, I would just be like, oh, I'm busy. But I was just like, you know what? I would love to come. And I went, mind you. I had to travel 2 hours, but I'm happy I went because it was such great vibes. We had great conversation, and I'm hoping, you know, things go great from here. Of course, I don't have any expectations, but I would definitely say, like, I'm happy that I went. I'm happy that I was able to connect with her, and I actually really look forward to the building of this friendship. But anyways, y'all, I'm gonna end this here because it's like 1:30 a.m. in the morning, and I want to go wash my face, go shower, and just get in bed. But yeah, thanks.